Our focus today, hopefully, is everyone able to see my screen, the main page here?
Sorry about
Yes.
that. Got kicked out.
Great.
On my own accord there. I clicked the wrong button.
Hey, that's okay. Good. So I think we're ready to go. So this month, we want to focus on motivating seasoned staff. I think we both thought this was a really timely subject because of the fact that this can be a shoulder season for some of you, and for others, you're starting to ramp up for your busy season. And so with that in mind, it can tend to be a time period where particularly your seasoned staff that are the staff that remain on board in those quieter periods or help you perhaps to ramp up for your next period, they're the ones that remain, and they're the lifeblood of your workforce, quite honestly. So I wanted to maybe start by talking a little bit about what challenges you're currently experiencing or things that might get in the way, and then give you some solutions for how to solve those things. So with that being said, by way of introduction, most of you know me. If you don't know me by now, I'm wondering how you got here. I'm the president of Guest Service Solutions. I know pretty much all of you here. My coaching experience has been it's probably been 20 years in the making at this point, and I'm very grateful for that. I have learned through my experience in coaching people that every single person is different, and there is not one size that fits all, but there are some fundamental similarities among every single person that I've ever coached. I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned is if you give your staff a fine reputation to live up to, and they can see in your words and your thoughts and your actions that that's what you're creating for them, they will meet that challenge, if not exceed that challenge. I've also learned that our staff can read minds. They know what you think about them, whether or not you say anything about them. So I want to give you maybe some insight as to how they can become such awesome mind readers and how we didn't know this. Yolanda's with us today as well. Say hello, Yolanda.
Hello.
Our performance solutions coach. She has a pretty long hospitality career as well, a big focus in the sales and customer service arena. She's the coordinator of our virtual solution. She is also a mystery shopping inspector, also a mystery shopper for us. And all since last, I think probably September, she's been one of our coaches here on the back end, providing one-on-one coaching for our clients. Let's start with some conversation. I want to talk to you, and I want to find out from you, what challenges do you currently encounter with seasoned staff? So if your microphone is live and you're ready to go, chime in. Tell me, what challenges do you encounter right now with your seasoned staff?
Just keeping everybody motivated in the off season.
Well, what happens, Cass? How do they get demotivated, or what happens? Are they just tired?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for myself too, I have to come up with some projects to keep me engaged, and obviously those projects that come in the off season are ones that we don't usually want to do. So you kind of got to make it fun and, keep everybody engaged, and yeah, just come up with projects and things to keep everybody busy, because otherwise, you're here and you're not really being productive. So.
Okay, so tired, and it's hard sometimes to find things to do. That's kind of what I'm getting. That doesn't seem like busy work.
To do. We just have to, get everybody on board with getting these projects together to set us up for success for the next season, which everybody needs a little bit of a break, and that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I think that sometimes people are suffering from Groundhog Day when they're in a position for a long time, another day, another year, another season. And it just becomes the same. It's just the same.
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
And how do I get out of that rut? Are there any other challenges that anyone would like to share? What challenges do you encounter with seasoned staff?
How does the seasoned staff feel about the off season, maybe too? Because I have some staff members that are here that are my seasoned staff members. So, what do you guys feel like? The Groundhog Day thing? Like, kind of,
Yeah.
especially in the off season, we don't have check-ins. We're not doing concierge really.
Right. So things are a little different. It's a little slower. It's hard to get back into the groove or put that effort forward that you had been putting forward, or keep your focus on the guest experience perhaps the way that you do when you're busier. It's a lot easier when the electricity's in the air, but then when things quiet down, we get too relaxed sometimes. What have you found to be effective in motivating seasoned staff? If you don't have your microphone on, you can also text chat us in the right-hand corner. Feel free to add your comments that way. What have you found to be effective in motivating seasoned staff? What are some of the things? I heard, Cass, that you said projects to keep them engaged that don't seem like busy work, right? What else?
Yes, we have. Yeah, I mean, other than busy work, there's always stuff to do in the off season. But like I said, it's those projects that get pushed off, and it's it is definitely busy work, but it has value for sure. And kind of just getting them excited about those annoying projects.
Right, right.
Jamie says he's
Yeah. And Jamie, you're a little new still. So there's some of that honeymoon period that you're still in, but you're starting to also get like, okay, honeymoon's over. This is reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be effective in motivating seasoned staff, sometimes we have to definitely be creative, also consistent. And I think the other thing is to be acknowledging some of the things that they really bring to the table, and also being mindful of what motivates each person individually as well as a group. What about what has not worked for you? What has really, you found this in the past? Hey, I tried to do this. I tried to motivate seasoned staff with this, and it was a flop. It was an absolute failure.
Trying to let them be self-motivated.
Okay, sure. When you leave it up to them, where do they go? They go to Facebook.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just not listening. I'm not into this. Yeah.
Or even worse, they start perhaps having conversations, sidebar conversations, and maybe interpreting certain words or actions from their managers and supervisors as being something that they're not. Because we've ended dialogue perhaps. Oh, this is a seasoned staff member, someone who's been with us for such a long time. She knows what's going on. And so we tend to kind of ignore, I think, sometimes the seasoned staff member because we feel like they've heard it all before already. What else has not worked for you?
I guess like bombarding them with projects and getting too focused on that busy work. You gotta give everybody a break to kind of do creative and fun things too. But if you focus too much on that busy work, yeah, everybody gets burnt out in the off season. You don't want that.
No, no, you don't. We chose this as a topic not just because of the timeliness, but we were also noticing, particularly in our one-on-one coaching experience, that a lot of the seasoned staff had some common themes. And Yolanda, feel free to add to this conversation. But I think some of the things that we noticed often were staff saying, I've been here now for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And it would be really nice if my manager would just come over and have a conversation with me about how I'm doing or what I could do differently. I feel like my manager has just assumed that I'm going to do a good job and they leave me alone, but they almost leave me alone too much. Would you say that's true, Yolanda?
Oh, absolutely. We actually have had that conversation with a few people over this past 6 months or so that they're kind of getting to the point in their career where they're looking at what are different incentives I can go for, or what are some other things that are going to be a reinforcement to me. And surprisingly enough, it's not always monetary, and it's not always, extra time off or lunches or whatever it is that they're working towards. They're like, I do the same thing every day, and they know I'm good at it, so they just don't ever talk to me. We're always focusing on the people who are new and getting to retain them and getting to train them, and I assist with all of that. Can't they just say thank you for that? Or, I heard your conversation earlier. You're a pro. You know how to do that so well. These are actual things that were said in one-on-one coaching. That's I just want to be recognized. Bring a cup of coffee over to my desk and say, you're having an awesome day. This has been a great week. Thank you so much. So glad that you've been on this team. So glad you're a consistent player, whatever it is.
Yes. And the funniest part about it was that a lot of these staff that we talked with were the highest paid, the model staff members. They were the ones that tended to be the ones that were already doing so well. And
Right.
all they wanted was for that to be recognized. So we wanted to give you a couple of different ways that we can do that and give you an opportunity to think inward a little bit as well about how you're creating an environment where you can motivate seasoned employees. And it really does start with us and the partnership conversations that we can create with our staff.
Right.
So based on our conversations with staff in those one-on-one coaching environments, these were the big things that we kept hearing over and over again. The first one here, take time to build trust with me. And I found that to be particularly interesting because it means that particularly your seasoned staff, they want you to take that extra moment, that one-on-one time to understand what their experience level is and how they've been doing and maybe where they're at. You might think you know, but you don't know until you actually have that active conversation. Go ahead.
Sorry to chime in. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, and maybe it's just on my screen, but I can't actually see your presentation right now.
Is that right?
Yes. So I just want to make sure it's shared with everybody.
Let's get there again. I'm going to redo this. Thank you for telling me.
Sure.
How long has that been a thing?
Well, I just thought we were just, keeping it conversational, but there we go. Thank you.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Thanks. So first one here, take time to build trust with me. So the big word here is time. A lot of them ask for that, and most managers say, well, I just don't have the time. Well, if you don't have time for them, what time do you have? Because they are your most valuable assets. And that is one of the reasons why we are asked to make the time, quite honestly, in these one-on-one environments, to be an extra extension of you. So if you cannot take the time yourself, find a way to make that time occur. It is so valuable. The second one, and I think this goes back to what you were saying, Cass, is acknowledge my experience. They do bring a lot to the table, and even if it's your most difficult staff member, they have value. They add something to the conversation. Just yesterday, I was facilitating a workshop, and it was obvious to me that there was a staff member who has 12 years of experience, and she has complained about the same things over and over and over again, and she has become a broken record to her managers. She is a person that whether or not her management team likes it, she adds a lot of value because she calls out the things that she has seen over 12 years that perhaps need to be addressed, need to be changed. She's not a broken record. She is a gift. And so that's a kind of a separate conversation that needs to occur is how do we continue to acknowledge even the complaints and the comments and the issues that this staff member has as a gift rather than as an inconvenience. The third one is to keep it real. These have to be real conversations about real things and not corporate speak. I think often we have the canned answers for certain things that we're tired of talking about. And we've heard quite often people saying, hey, just let me know what's going on. I can handle it. They want that transparency. It's entirely motivating for seasoned staff when they know where you're going and why you're going there. Don't assume that I can't change. It is true that you can teach, I think it's true that you can teach an old dog new tricks. There just has to be a solid why associated with it. So, you have that staff member who you feel like I've talked to this person over and over and over again. It's time to look for a different angle to create that partnership conversation. Help me to keep my development goals at the top of mind. I feel like quite often we don't create the right development goals for our staff, and so we don't have the opportunity to meet those goals. If there are no goals, or if it's we just want you to be nicer, that's not a goal. That's a wish. So what's the plan and what's the metric associated with measuring nice? And what are the accountability points associated with measuring the nice factor? And the last one here to create a great partnership conversation is please give me a fine reputation to live up to. They won't say it that way. They'll say, I just feel like I'm undervalued, or I feel like I don't get paid enough to do this, or you know what, I'm just here. It's another year, same stuff, different day. And if we change the conversation, instead of going, yeah, I know, but you could still be a little nicer to guess, and give them a fine reputation to live up to, the motivation changes entirely. So starting with a partnership conversation means that you acknowledge that it's a two-way street. So I gave you here, and I want to ask you to do a little tally. I have 11 statements here, and I want you to be honest. Think about it for real. And I want you to put a check mark and text chat us your score or verbally share with us your score. How honest can you be about how you are as a leader and what you bring to the table to motivate with things that are not money? So the first one here is, I energize my team every day with positive energy, fun activities, or positive words. The next one, I set aside time for reflection each day. That does not mean an hour of meditation. That means taking 10 minutes to say, here's what's going well, here's what we could do differently. Reflect on what's going on. I feel supported at home, physically or spiritually. I feel loved at home, that kind of thing. I exercise regularly and I live a healthy lifestyle. I put others on my team first. I reward integrity. I have been told frequently by my team that I'm a good listener. I actively promote problem solving and hold others accountable. I am told that I am influential. I mentor and encourage my team and create partnerships. And I make time for everyone on my team without it being asked for. So how did you do? Text chat us or verbally share. Out of 11, how did you do? Any text chats coming in? So Yolanda got a 6. Who else?
My situation's slightly different, but
yeah. Who else?
I didn't really count, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
Pretty good job. Maybe we could ask Jamie.
Gardner could do a lot better. Oh, Gardner.
Jamie, how did you do?
Pretty well. I think all of us need to work on the physical and healthy aspect of
our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It spills over.
Physical around here and active lately when it snows every other day, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go for group walks. How about that?
It's good. So I know this about East West specifically. They really do value the balanced lifestyle, and they promote that, they encourage that, understanding that it's not always possible because of business levels. But it does, I think the point I'm making here, though, is that it does start with you. And it starts with some very simple things, like how are you feeding you personally? Almost literally feeding you. But the other thing is that it isn't, these are not big things. These are all everyday things all the time. You can influence every day. You can mentor and encourage every day. You can make time every day. These are not things that have to be scheduled. It's more of a mindset of motivating my staff really comes from how I put it out there. Now, I said to you before that your staff are mind readers. They can read your mind. They know how you feel about them or how you think about them without you having to say a single word. So if, and this has been actually scientifically proven that people, when they're given a fine reputation to live up to through actions, through words, if I'm saying to someone, hey, I know that you can do this, or in an email I say, I'm sure you're going to have the answer to this problem because you're so resourceful, then somebody's going, yes, I am resourceful. It's true. And I'm going to show you just how resourceful I am.
Well, I'm going to be now. Yeah.
But if in my email I'm saying, I don't know if you can handle this or not, it's a lot of work, so if it's too hard, let me know. Well, then it's easy for that person to go, yeah, you're right. It's too hard for me. So that idea of giving someone a fine reputation to live up to comes from your own mindset of saying, I have my own fine reputation to live up to. And I don't see all of this as leading by example so much as it is showing as a servant leader what you truly want, what you truly want to see or what you expect. And that's a way that you're holding yourself personally accountable, not leading by example, holding yourself personally accountable. So if you're in the 5 or 6 realm, take a look at some of those other ones and say, how can I incorporate these perhaps a little bit more in my day? What's one thing that I could do? Knowing that these 11 things are key to motivating your seasoned staff. They are key. So we start with you in the partnership conversation. When we have seasoned staff, we're lucky. But I'll tell you that when we know that 71% of hourly workers leave within the first year of employment, it's kind of depressing. Almost 9 times out of 10, those people leave because they quit their boss. They quit their manager or their supervisor. They're not quitting the company, they're quitting you. So that gives me, I think, even more relevant substantiation for this idea that, hey, if it's going to start with me, it's also going to end with me too. When I'm providing ongoing training or coaching, though, that turnover is going to decrease significantly. So on average, in hotels and restaurants nationwide, according to a study by TD and 2K, turnover decreases from 101% to 86% overall when we provide 10 hours or more of ongoing training and coaching. So I don't know how many of you actually have the ability. Are you able to see my screen right now? Yolanda, can you see the screen?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure now, since we had a little blip there. So to know that 10 hours of training and coaching is going to provide us with that decreased turnover, it is an absolute requirement for us to be making sure that we're making that time and investing in our seasoned staff. And I've shared this with you before just to know as well that based on that same study, customer service training itself is typically only 20% of total training content. That to me is a big indicator that the more time and energy we spend in customer service, what we're really spending time on for our staff is human relations principles. We're spending time with them on giving them the skills and the ability to make their jobs easier and happier and more fun instead of making it about food safety and sanitation and about basic how-tos of the job. There is a way that you can make it fun through teaching the kind of human relations principles that customer service can provide. We forget a lot in a short amount of time, and our seasoned staff are no exception to this. So anything that you trained a month ago, they're only going to remember 10% of it. So you have to keep reinforcing, and having those conversations that keep the motivation going. So our biggest recommendation to you is to provide that one-on-one coaching that is not just effective, but it's also time efficient. So we can do a lot in a very short amount of time. And I'm going to give you 3 conversations that will help with that. The benefits are clear. We know them. It's the idea, though, that I don't have the time to do this, Erica. So what if I told you that if you only spent 5 minutes a day on one-on-one coaching, and it doesn't even have to be with one employee, that you could see an improvement in turnover, that you would provide the motivation for your seasoned staff? Would you do it? So if your answer is yes, then continue to participate and be here. The first conversation I'm going to give you is just a very quick check-in. This can be 30 seconds to 1 minute with your staff. It's a see it and say it. Pick out one thing a day that you notice that a staff member is doing. Hey, I just noticed that you seated those guests in the restaurant today and you had the biggest smile on your face. And I know that you made their morning. Thank you so much. And then that staff member goes, whatever, Laura. I do it every day. You just saw it now. And the answer to that is, you're right. I did just see it now, and I appreciated it a lot. So even though I don't see it every day, I want you to know that I think it's pretty amazing. And you're quite an example. Don't let that get you down or make it something like, oh, well, I guess she doesn't want to be talked to that way. That's not what she means. What she means is, oh, are we changing things now? Are you going to notice what I'm doing now? So take it as a compliment if they comment on it at all, rather than seeing that as a criticism of what you're up to, and then continue to be consistent with that. So find one thing people are doing, pick it out and say, I saw that and I loved it. The second one is providing some substance to coaching conversations. Your seasoned staff, remember, they want to have conversations with you. They want that one-on-one time with you. And remember the partnership conversation, they want you to take the time to build trust. They want their experience to be recognized, et cetera, et cetera. They can change. They just have to have the right motivation to change, and that's our job as managers and leaders and supervisors to be able to provide the real feedback that's going to help them. So in coaching, there are 5 different kind of pieces to coaching that I'm going to refresh you on. The first one is giving some meaning to their coaching. Why does this matter? Who cares? Everyone has a what's in it for me. And it's really not about money. Money is what we use as a measurement, but it's not really about the money. So what's the meaning behind what I'm doing? And sometimes you have to get a little deeper. Being in the hospitality industry it's not just a choice, but it's more of a calling for so many of those of us that are in the business of emotional work like this. So the money should be secondary. That should not be primary. Alignment. Alignment means, is it lined up with our goals for the organization? Growth. What's the potential, the future for me? Is it increased gratuities? Is it a possibility for promotion? Information, meaning give me the evidence, the guest research that supports this coaching, and context. So that means that you need to know me personally as a person and what my kind of long-term goals are. So instead of, hey, nice job, a magical coaching would sound something more like this. Hey, I just overheard you helping that guest to find a special bottle of wine. That's what makes us 4-star, and I know that they're going to remember you forever. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a comment in our research come from that. Keep that up, and I bet you could have a future career in social sales. And I know you've been looking at that job, so I definitely think that that's going to serve you well. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep going because I know that we have very limited precious time with you, and I hope that you're finding this valuable. You have more experience than you think you do, and the last coaching conversation I'm going to share with you is the EAR formula, and this is the idea of telling stories. All of the experiences that you have at home, at the grocery store, in your car, talking to your parents, these are all moments that have stories around them that give great examples of what you desire to see from your motivated staff or from your seasoned staff to motivate them. They need to be able to pull inspiration from outside of the job, and your experiences outside of the job can help them inside of the job as well. So that means share an example, give an action, and then state the results or the benefit from that. My example that I shared with you with the woman that I met yesterday, she was a great example. There was another woman yesterday in my workshop, and she sat there like this the whole time. And right when I saw that, instead of calling her out, I posed and I shared a story with everyone. And I said, you know, there was a time when I was hosting some guests from China in our hotel. And one of the things that I noticed as a result of spending the 3 or 4 days with them that I had was that they were so patient and they were so friendly and so helpful. And I realized that the more I was rushing and being impatient and looking at my watch and trying to get away from them, the more I was pushing myself away. And I noticed when they left the hotel and they checked out, they were giving gifts to the front desk staff. And I was wondering, why didn't I get a gift? So I say this to all of you because sometimes our body language says a lot more to other people than we think it does. And something that subtle can make the difference between you making a memory for somebody that's positive or making a memory that's negative. So remember how your body language conveys what you're trying to say. Sometimes actions really do speak louder than words. So I said that, and then suddenly she realized, and she almost looked at her arms and went, and knew what I said without my having to call her out. So stories are very valuable and beneficial, and through a story told about a story that I just told you would hopefully be another thing to inspire you to think of other ways you can look at your daily activity and how that can benefit your staff. So hopefully you pulled at least some ideas. I want you to at least walk away with this idea of, I'll back it up for just a second, these 3 key conversations: see it and say it. This can be done in a matter of seconds. Magical coaching. So give it some meat. And then your third one is using that EAR formula, the magical formula for storytelling, so that you're gaining cooperation. These will really motivate your seasoned staff. And it's really all about using your time wisely, not wasting time. I hope you got some good ideas out of today's green room. Next month on May 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be focusing on strengthening guest rapport and loyalty. So we hope you join, and we're going to ask you to have some good examples at the ready, because I think you all are doing some amazing things, and it's great to exchange those ideas. If you want to see the rest of our calendar for the green room, it's here, and it's always in our email signatures as well. So you can see right after that, we'll have prioritizing training in busy times. So hopefully you're enjoying the lineup, you're enjoying the green room, and you're enjoying your fix videos. We look forward to seeing you probably next month, and hopefully talking with you much sooner. So thanks for participating today, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Erica.
Thanks, Erica.
And Yolanda.
And Yolanda.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.